and a super good morning to each and every single one of you. Just gotten back from the city of Grenada where I was for the weekend, getting ready for a splendid week of creating as much content as I possibly can, and I'm sure you are too. My Monday today involves a 12 noon gym session and then heading off to the weekly pub quiz this evening, which will be the last pub quiz for 2 weeks because the owners of the Picoteo bar where the pub quiz takes place are taking 2 weeks holiday, having worked all the way through the normal summer season, so we can completely understand that. Anyway, I'm going to be smashing out the content in between, and I sincerely hope you are too, as well as making the most of the coming final week of September. Let's finish the month off as strongly as we possibly can. And a super good evening to each and every single one of you. Let me just get the business part of the evening check-in out of the way. Today's word count, 1,776. Not quite making it to the 2,000 mark, but very importantly, there are 3 blog posts that are essentially completely finished. All they need to be able to publish are me to insert about 2 or 3 affiliate links into each and put their images. So that's one of the things that I'll be tackling first thing tomorrow morning, is getting those 3 out of the way and nail those 3, which means that there are 3 wins, which is momentum, which I can carry then through the rest of the day's writing. Speaking about writing, today's hot tip comes from Stephen King, and it's one that's been quoted really often, and I just want to unpack it a little bit in terms of how we can apply this to our blogging and our content creation. And it's a really short little quote from Stephen King. He says, "Write with the door closed, edit with the door open." Now, when Stephen King was writing his first breakthrough novel, Carrie, he literally locked himself in the laundry room with a little kiddie's desk balanced on his lap. He had a tiny little stool, a kiddie's desk balanced across his lap, because when it was on his lap, the legs couldn't even reach the floor, and he had his laptop balanced on top of that, locked up inside the laundry room, literally with the door closed, which meant that there were no outside distractions whatsoever, and all he could focus on was the story that was inside him that was wanting to get out, and which meant that he could just let that story that was there come out and appear on the computer screen in front of him. So that effect, so taking that literally, basically when it comes to us and our blogging, and I've been trying to do that myself as well, is when I'm sitting down to actually, now I'm going to be doing what's going to be effectively my first draft of a blog post, be I voice typing it or be it actually writing on the computer. I'll try and be somewhere where not so much that there's no internet connection, because internet connection is all around us, but for instance, if I'm in this room at the moment with a bookcase here behind me, this phone that I'm recording the video on, and for that matter, the other reserve video recording phone as well, those are all off in a completely different room in the house. I'll put them into charge in the kitchen, and I'll come and sit here and I'll write. Because I'm at the moment the only one here in this 3-bedroom apartment, there's no need to close the door to the specific room that I'm in. But I'm effectively closed off to the outside world, and I can just focus on the task at hand. And going into the writing process is that the write with the door closed means shutting out the outside noise so that the voice, the blogging voice that we've all got inside us, has free rein to flow without outside input and distractions. So which means that if I've got any research to do ahead of time, and I take it to the extreme, is my computer is often set up in the kitchen. So for instance, my laptop is actually, it's over there at the moment. So what I'll be doing is I'll be in the kitchen where I'm brewing up coffee, cooking lunch, whatever the case may be, and I'll have the computer open and I'll be watching/listening to YouTube videos or reading articles or anything like that of any research that I'm needing to do for the article that needs to be written. When it comes to writing, I'll unplug my laptop from there, carry it through, set it down here, and I'll write. There's no checking up on some research in the midst of the article. All my research is done ahead of time. I may even, between the research and sitting down to write, go and take a walk so that the ideas can percolate inside me properly. So when I come down here and sit down, away from where all the research is, the voice, the blogging voice that's inside me can just open up, let the words flow, and express the ideas that I may have researched, but I'll be able to express them completely in my own voice because I'm away from all of that, literally changing to a different room. That's the way I take the writing with the door closed approach. The editing with the door open is a much more of a subtle thing. It's because during the writing process is letting the voice that's inside you come out. The editing process is taking what you've written. This is what I do anyway. The editing process is taking what I've written and looking at it and saying, how can I phrase whatever I've got here in such a way that it is the most engaging and interesting it possibly can be for the reader. So in other words, my editing /proofreading process has everything to do with the reader in mind. How can I make this information that I've got here the most interesting that I can possibly make it? Because my job in the editing part and in the publishing part of my blog posts is to hold my reader's attention, as Margaret Atwood says. It's not to be able to put out information in a completely dry way, because that's not going to be pulling in many views unless there's absolutely nothing out there on the same topic. But if my writing can hold my reader's attention all the way through, then my blog is going to be successful, and yours can as well. That's my take on Stephen King's write with the door closed and edit with the door open. But with that, let me get myself to bed so I can be up in the morning and attack the new day, and I'll speak to you then. Have a good night.